Hello, everybody, and welcome to For You. My name is Reese.
And I'm Kathy.
And we are back for day 2 of this article titled Handling Your Negative Emotions in a Healthy Way. And it was written by Rebecca Miller. Okay, so Kathy, how are you feeling today?
Today, I'm feeling quite okay. A little bit tired. Not upset. Not really happy. I think people in Taiwan will say fine or so-so.
I like the word mellow.
Mellow. Oh.
Yeah. Mellow for me is that feeling of like, you're not really happy, but you're not sad. You're kind of just okay. And just,
in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle and just enjoying maybe being in the middle. I think mellow for me is kind of a positive word. Maybe for some people it could be more of a negative word. Well, let's quickly recap what we talked about yesterday. We're talking about feelings and emotions, particularly how negative emotions can actually teach us something. So yesterday's article told us a bit about how emotions like sadness can help us be productive, or other emotions like disgust can keep us safe.
Keep us away from
smelly things, like dog poop. Or durian. Do you like durian?
I actually do. Some people don't. I know a lot of people don't like durian.
I don't like it, and the smell of durian for me is disgusting, and it makes me want to run away from it. But I'm not sure why, because durian isn't particularly dangerous, I think. Anyway, today we're talking more about handling your negative emotions, so let's jump into it.
Reading.
Handling your negative emotions in a healthy way. Negative emotions go away quickly unless we choose to hold on to them. When you feel bad, first recognize exactly which emotion you're feeling. Are you upset, afraid, or stressed? When you've found what you're feeling, face the negative emotion directly. This will be painful since most people's instinct is to either try to control or run from the emotion. But remember, no pain, no gain. Facing the emotion will help you realize it's only temporary. Next, try to get comfortable with the emotion. This is a good time to practice mindful breathing. Put one hand on your heart and the other on your stomach. Take a few deep, slow breaths and drop your shoulders as you breathe out. Say to yourself, I let the emotion go. It may be difficult at first, and you may feel different emotions from the ones you started with. With practice, however, you'll be able to discover the root of your negative emotions. Taking a few minutes a day to acknowledge and release our negative emotions helps us live happier lives.
So in our article, it begins by saying negative emotions go away quickly unless we choose to hold on to them.
That's very important. Negative emotions, they do disappear unless we choose to keep them with us. What does unless mean? Let's talk about that first. Unless is a conjunction. That's a word that we use to connect sentences together. And unless means except if. It's best to explain this word through examples. So here's some examples. We will go to the park tomorrow unless it rains. That means if it rains, we will not go to the park. If it does not rain, we will go to the park. Here's another example. You cannot go outside unless you finish your homework. That means you can only go outside if you finish your homework. Otherwise, you must stay in and study. So here's another example sentence. You cannot have ice cream unless you finish your dinner. My mum used to say that to me all of the time. So how about this phrase, to hold on to something? Kathy, can you explain this for us? It means to keep something close to us, right?
Yes. 今天文章一开头就告诉我们，其实负面情绪呢，很快就消失，除非我们选择紧抓它。这里我们来看呢，刚刚提到的第一个单字 unless 意思是除非。那 for example, you can't get a job unless you have experience. That means that you can only get a job if you have experience. Or another example sentence, unless you call me to say you're not coming, I'll see you at the theater. 那刚刚的 Reese 老师有问到 hold on to. Here we also saw hold on to. 意思是抓住、保留、紧抓住。一般可能用在例如司机准备要开快车了，他可能会说 hold on to the handle. 抓紧车上的把手咯。所以在文章这里指的是情绪上的紧抓住负面情绪。那接下来呢，文章开始说明如何处理情绪。The article says, when you feel bad, first recognize exactly which emotion you're feeling.
Yeah, that's something that I've learned recently. You know, sometimes we feel bad, but we don't really explore what that feeling is or why we feel it. The article continues. It says, are you upset, afraid, or stressed? So there are 3 negative emotions there. Let's talk about one of them. Let's talk about upset. So upset is another emotion word, and it's an adjective. If you're feeling upset, you're feeling sad, maybe like you want to cry. Upset could also mean disappointed or worried, but mostly it means sad. So here's an example sentence. I was feeling upset after our team lost the football game. Yeah, so that one's kind of like you're feeling sad and disappointed at the same time.
I think we all know what it's like to feel upset.
Yeah.
Upset 就是难过的，心烦意乱的。And so the article here then gives us a tip to react toward this feeling. It says, when you've found what you're feeling, face the negative emotion directly.
That's good advice. So don't hide away from the emotion. You should face it and deal with it there and then. The article tells us more. It says, this will be painful, since most people's instinct is to either try to control or run away from the emotion. Or run from the emotion. Well, before we talk about running from emotions, let's talk about instinct, which is an interesting word. Instinct is a noun, and an instinct is a behavior, something that you do that is innate. That means it's something that you're born with. It's inside you your whole life, and you don't need to learn it. It's something you naturally have, and often you can't control it. Animals have instincts, like when cats hide in small, tight places. It's an instinct they have to help them keep safe. We have instincts too, like jumping and running away when we hear loud noises. Before we even know what it is, we're alert and scared so that our bodies are ready to deal with danger. Instincts can save our lives. So here's an example sentence. A deer's instincts will keep it constantly aware of predators hiding in the bushes.
直接面对负面情绪会很痛苦，因为大多数的人本能就是会想办法控制负面情绪，或是直接逃离。我们刚刚看到的 instinct 就是本能、直觉 ，the way people or animal naturally react or behave.Without having to think or learn about it. 例如，车子突然刹车时，你的本能就是会赶快去抓把手，避免自己跌倒。而这句当中还出现一个片语叫做 run from， 同时也是 run away from， 就是逃离、逃避。字面上就可以很清楚知道片语的意思。所以逃学的英文就是 run away from school。这个片语呢，同时也有尽力摆脱困境的意思。For example, run away from a difficult situation.
So the article is saying that maybe running away from our emotions is not the best way to deal with them. Well, it tells us a bit more. The article says, but remember, no pain, no gain. Facing the emotion will help you realize it's only temporary. That's very, very good advice.So let's look at this interesting phrase here, no pain, no gain. So we use the phrase no pain, no gain when we're talking about the idea that you cannot get better at something without training hard at it. If you do not experience pain or sweat or trying hard, then you will not gain any progress or skills.We often use this phrase for physical skills like sports or working out or running, but we can use it for pretty much anything that takes practice. So no pain, no gain. You're not going to get better if you don't try. And then we had the word temporary. So temporary is an adjective and we use it to describe things that only last a short time before ending or disappearing. The opposite of temporary is permanent. You can have a temporary job, which is a job that you know will end soon. You can get a temporary tattoo, which is a tattoo that you can wash off after a few weeks. If you suddenly lose your home and you stay at your friend's house while you look for a new place to live, you can say that your friend's apartment is your temporary home. So here's an example sentence. The government set up temporary housing in the school after the typhoon destroyed many people's homes.
If you want something, you've got to work hard for it.
Yes, that's true.
No pain, no gain. 就是一分耕耘一分收获。另外还有一个意思很相近的片语叫做不劳则无获，英文就是 no gains without pains. We also see the word temporary in this sentence, which means 暂时的、临时的。For example, Ellen has got a temporary job. 她在办公室做临时雇员。So the article then tells us, next, try to get comfortable with the emotion. This is a good time to practice mindful breathing.
Mindful breathing. Breathe in. Breathe out. I like it. So yesterday we learned about the word mindfulness. And so here we see mindful. Remember, being mindful is living in the moment, not being worried about the past or the future. So what is mindful breathing? Well, breathing is a noun here, though we can also use it as a verb. The noun form is the activity of breathing, moving air in and out of your lungs. We kind of need to do this to stay alive. So the verb to breathe means to do exactly that, to breathe in and to breathe out. So mindful breathing is a good way to stay calm and relaxed when you're feeling upset or anxious. So here's an example sentence. I practice slow breathing for 10 minutes every afternoon to keep myself calm at work.
Well, 10 minutes. 文章说呢，这是练习正念呼吸的好时机。Breathing 指的是呼吸的过程，是名词，而 breath 这个名词指的是单词的呼吸。For example, after all that running, he was short of breath. 如果你跟你的朋友说深呼吸，这个时候的呼吸是动词，就是breathe 了，所以如果跑得很喘，这个状态英文就叫做 to breathe heavily.
Right, so breathing is something that we all do all of the time. If we stop breathing, we will die. But when we talk about mindful breathing, you know, it's really when we stop to actually focus on our breathing. It's kind of a way to be present, be mindful, and be relaxed. If you just focus on breathing in and breathing out. It can kind of clear your mind, make you feel a bit better. Well, the article continues and it tells us a bit more about how to do mindful breathing. It says, put one hand on your heart and the other on your stomach. Take a few deep, slow breaths and drop your shoulders as you breathe out. That sounds very relaxing. I'm relaxed already. So let's talk about the word stomach here. It's spelled S-T-O-M-A-C-H. It's a noun and it's a part of your body. Your stomach is the organ inside your body that digests food and gives you energy. But we can also use the word stomach to talk about the middle part of your body generally. So if we put your hands on your stomach, we're not talking about touching the organ inside your body. We're just talking about putting your hand kind of on your belly, just below your chest. That's where your stomach would be inside your body. So here's an example sentence. Peter was sent to the hospital after he was punched in the stomach during a fight.
Oh, that hurts.
Ouch.
文章这边提供我们确切的做法。这里提到另一个单字 stomach， 就是腹部、肚子。这个字的发音比较特别，同学们要小心，不要念错咯。If you got a pain in your stomach， 如果你的胃痛或是腹痛的话，英文就是 stomach ache. And so the article then tells us, say to yourself,I let the emotion go. It may be difficult at first, and you may feel different emotions from the ones you started with. Here we see another phrase, let something go, 就是放下。大家如果对《冰雪奇缘》的 Let It Go 这首歌很熟悉，就会知道这个片语咯。
Love it.
Let it go, yeah.
Well, the article continues and it says, with practice, however, you'll be able to discover the root of your negative emotions.
练习之后呢，你就会发现负面情绪的根源了。这里的 root 一般指植物的根，那在这里是指根源。And here the last sentence of our article, it says, taking a few minutes a day to acknowledge and release our negative emotions helps us live happier lives.
Well, I certainly want to live the happiest life that I can, so I think the advice in this article is very, very useful.
It is.
But we do have one final word to discuss, and it's the word acknowledge. So acknowledge is a verb, and to acknowledge something means to recognize that something is true or that something exists. If you acknowledge that you made a mistake, that means you understand that you did something wrong. Many people acknowledge the existence of God. That means they think God is real. Others do not acknowledge this.
因此课文结尾这里就说，每天花几分钟的时间确认并释放我们的负面情绪，有助于我们过上幸福的生活。在这里 acknowledge 有承认什么什么存在的意思，所以呢，当你愿意面对这个情绪，才有办法有效的处理，进而让自己过上有品质的生活。And so that's all for today's lesson. Join us now as we move on to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
Okay, so today's For You Chat question, and as a nice way to end this 2-day article about dealing with negative emotions, Kathy, what do you do to make yourself feel better when you're upset?
Well, I think this is a very good question. I have to say, even though I didn't believe that breathing could help, I now try it whenever I'm upset. It actually calms my nerves and allows my brain to become rational instead of emotional. Another method which is quite useful for me is to eat chocolate. Of course, this is not for most of the time, but it definitely helps. So, Reese, any good tips to share with us what you do to make yourself feel better when you're upset?
What do I do? I think there are many different things. It depends what I'm feeling, you know? I think exercise is a really good way to deal with negative feelings. I think there's been a lot of science that studies the power of exercise. You know, it's not just good for our bodies, but it also releases chemicals in our bodies that makes our brain feel better too. So if you're ever feeling sad, get up, go for a run or lift some weights, and that will make you feel better really, really quickly. Even if you don't feel like doing it, after a few minutes, you'll begin to feel great. But I think for me, I find most of my comfort in my friends and my family.
Like talking to them?
Yeah, you know, if I'm feeling sad, I've recently learned as an adult that it's really bad to keep all of those bad feelings inside. They kind of just build up over time, and eventually you might just like explode. Yeah, it's not good. So I've got some close friends that I trust and that I know kind of won't make fun of me, who I can talk to if I'm feeling particularly sad about something, you know, if I'm really homesick, or if I've had a bad time at school or at work, or somebody did something that upset me. I know that there are some people that I can call or text or meet with for a coffee to just talk about it and really, you know, face those negative emotions
Together.
Yeah, having that other person there to support you really helps you, you know, deal with them, and maybe they can offer a different perspective on why you're feeling those negative emotions. But breathing is also something I do if I'm alone.
10 minutes.
10 minutes of breathing. I have this app where you put your headphones in and it plays like some nice music for you, and you can kind of just sit there, close your eyes. Don't fall asleep.
I was thinking.
Just, take a moment to be present and be mindful and breathe. And, you know, when we're feeling these negative emotions, it can feel like the world is very heavy and like things are just never going to get better. But they always do. I think it's important to remind ourselves that life is actually pretty wonderful. Yeah. So maybe you guys can think about this question too. What do you do to make yourself feel better when you're upset? Do you reach out to your friends? Do you reach for a chocolate bar? Or maybe you've got a special place that you go to calm down and relax. We all have our own ways. Whatever works for you, as long as it's healthy. So from For You, I'm Reese.
I'm Kathy.
And we'll see you next time. Stay healthy.
Bye.
Handling your negative emotions in a healthy way. Negative emotions go away quickly unless we choose to hold on to them. When you feel bad, first recognize exactly which emotion you're feeling. Are you upset, afraid, or stressed? When you've found what you're feeling, face the negative emotion directly. This will be painful since most people's instinct is to either try to control or run from the emotion. But remember, no pain, no gain. Facing the emotion will help you realize it's only temporary. Next, try to get comfortable with the emotion. This is a good time to practice mindful breathing. Put one hand on your heart and the other on your stomach. Take a few deep, slow breaths and drop your shoulders as you breathe out. Say to yourself, I let the emotion go. It may be difficult at first, and you may feel different emotions from the ones you started with. With practice, however, you'll be able to discover the root of your negative emotions. Taking a few minutes a day to acknowledge and release our negative emotions helps us live happier lives.
Vocabulary Review. Unless. We will leave at 9 a.m. unless Miranda is late again. Upset. I felt upset when Joel said something rude about my clothes. Instinct. Many dogs have an instinct to chase things, like balls thrown by their owners. Temporary. When I joined a gym, they gave me a temporary paper card while my real one was being made. Breathing. The forest is so quiet that the hikers can only hear the sounds of their breathing. Stomach. Tony rubbed his stomach cheerfully after eating a great Thanksgiving dinner.
智慧小补帖
Acknowledge.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net